All right. Infinite Campus, I have an amazing plan for you. I've been talking about a plan for standardizing how we look at interactive transcripts or an interactive transcript modeling engine, which would build interactive learning pathways in social media and do some really advanced things. You'd also want this in hybrid learning platforms. I know you're specializing in K through 12. What I think is going to be interesting is working on some data structures for courses, topics, descriptions, presentation arrays. Then you'll have your presentations that relate to a course or topic, and those will be on a specific subject or subject focus combination. And then you'll have question and answer arrays associated with that particular quiz, presentation, or whatever that piece is as it relates to an overall course or topic. And so you can imagine courses being built or topics being built that you would learn about as a subset of presentations, or call them publications if they're just text or text based. And then you'll be able to look at these different subject focuses and QA answers associated with each one of the publications. And you'll be able, well, they're the QA answers associated with whatever subject focus the presentation is on. And then you'll be able to look at all coursework and be able to build really interesting interactive learning models, and people will be able to visualize how knowledge relates to different things. You'll be able to import these data tables based upon these data structures that you can get from here and relationships between keywords, and then you can build some modeling tools for basic geometries that these will populate, and then you can highlight color coding between different points based upon relationships between a user's knowledge and what they're trying to reach for. And so they'll be able to see a pathway to get to their goal. And so that's how students can all learn about everything. And you'll be able to have a much more responsive mobile workforce that's able to accomplish some really amazing things. And so the next part that I want to talk about is how you upgrade quizzes. Quizzes in the future are going to be largely, you can do some of these with PowerPoint alone, but PowerPoint doesn't have, at least not to my knowledge anyway, I never saw this growing up anyway, they don't have ways of embedding Q&A responses or quizzes into PowerPoint. And then once you get to that point where you have these interactive PowerPoint quizzes that are building, your Q&A data tables, now you have a system where you can build a video on something. And because I want to get to the point where in Strategic Pivot you have these linked content posts, but I'm trying to also talk about how education builds these more interactive quizzes. So you can get to the point where you have a blended interactive quiz that's kind of like Mastery.com produces, if when you're uploading a YouTube video or a raw video, you can insert PowerPoint slides that have these interactive quiz contents. But again, you have to work with Microsoft to make sure you can build these PowerPoint slides, and then you can upload a PowerPoint file with your video file when you're creating a YouTube video or a new interactive quiz if you're doing it through a hybrid learning platform, because you don't just have to post these through YouTube. You could post them through your hybrid learning platform for a teacher that's trying to manage their school. And so you're trying to create this interactive quiz with PowerPoint. You got to get collaboration from PowerPoint to build this. But once you build this, you can build these interactive quizzes, and you'll be able to build or get to the point where in Strategic Pivot, now many things going on here, all of these hybrid learning platforms will utilize this approach that I'm trying to describe, where you're building these linked content systems, these interactive quizzes. Strategic Pivot has what I call a linked content system, where you're linking strategic or specific keywords that relate to a post that somebody's trying to, because again, we're trying to talk about these interactive pathways. So ultimately where you get to that is you click on a post on social media, it will bring some relevant learning pathways into focus that relate to the keywords that because I'll make this interactive video. It might be on a specific thing. I might have 3 keywords that I post when I link that video to Strategic Pivot, and so this is a separate interactive quiz, and then these are separate keywords that are happening on Strategic Pivot when you go to post the video. Those are tags that you use for that are what the video is about. It's a quick summary of what main subjects or subject focuses this post is about, and that's how you get some interactive learning pathways and bringing somebody's relevant learning into focus on Strategic Pivot. Now, there's a lot going on there. There's the hybrid learning platforms and the more advanced quizzes. There's Strategic Pivot and how you utilize these more interactive quizzes in Strategic Pivot ecosystem. And again, when you're posting these, that doesn't necessarily mean that your video has this is all of the subjects in your video. This is just the three best ones that you associate when you're posting a post to Strategic Pivot. Now that might be an article written in Wired magazine that some student at a university has made into an interactive quiz by taking chunks of the article and associating an interactive PowerPoint quiz with that. So now you've got ways for people to read articles, prove they're following along with articles, credentialize themselves for that in the background of an overall credentialing system that will work with data structures that generally have these focuses and are stored in those ways. And then you'll be able to import these models into these complex geometries and ultimately on a website like Strategic Pivot have your interactive learning pathways that show up over in this region over here as you click on a post, and it brings into focus digital logic, physical encryption, and RSA algorithms as it relates to your knowledge base, and you'll be able to see a pathway to how you learn about this thing that we're doing in society relevant to cybersecurity or a new space race like Chase for a more advanced social media and market strategy for all of architecture really at large. But it's a lot of interactive things, and I'd love a chance to work with your team, Infinite Campus. I don't want to make this more than a 7-minute video. So I hope that we can talk more about what I could add to your team, all the things that we could accomplish for education, some really cool things that we can do with these ideas. I would love to talk with you about this in further detail. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to meeting with you. Thanks. Have a great day.